Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Hustle. I'm Alex, host of the show. Today we're talking mental health, mental well-being. Of course, this is sponsored by Movember. And honestly, I get to reconnect with some guys from my journey in the Adventist world, So I want to bring someone that you haven't met before. He has an incredible story, and I think it's something that you definitely will gain some value from. Yes, that's Patrick. Nelson, how's it going, bro?
It's going great, man.
It's good to have you on the show, bro.
Good to see you.
So after people who don't know about you, can you give people a 1 minute summation on everything that in your world right now?
Okay, so right now I do life coaching,
Okay.
and I also have my book entitled Change is Coming.
Mm-hmm.
And the book is a book that I wrote when I was in a really dark place, right? And I assume that all of us have been to a dark place. And within being in that dark place, I got creative and brought forth something that I hope motivated a lot of people. So I do that as well as life coaching, and I play bass guitar as well. Just everything I do is around motivation and inspiration.
Yeah. Now, you just told me off camera
Yeah,
one of the craziest things I've heard in the last, honestly, probably I'd say the year.
yeah,
You just told me that your sister
yeah,
killed your mother.
yeah, yeah. So my my stepsister did kill my stepmom, and that was something that was it still rocks me till this day, right? And um I felt the need to speak about it just because sometimes we brush, especially in the Seventh Adventist Church, sometimes too, we brush mental health to the side and just say, "Oh, all you need is this God." But sometimes what you need, which you told me off camera as well, is therapy, right? Or you need someone to talk to, you know? Because also it says in the Bible that God helps those who help themselves too, right? So when my sister was having her um episodes ever so often, sometimes we'll just brush it to the side and be like, okay, all we need to do is pray for her and this and that, rather than extending the help that she needed. Right.
Wow. All right, so I gotta give, I gotta get more details.
Yes, sir.
What happened?
So what happened was, I remember I was in the States. I was visiting my dad, and my stepmom was calling me, and I didn't understand why, because we'll talk, but we wouldn't talk every single day, right? So I knew something was up. So I remember I answered the phone, and she was like, "Oh, Nelson, if you could help me write a book." So I'm like, "Yeah, no problem, no problem." So she sent me some like a brief synopsis of what she wanted the book to be and so forth. So I was like, "Okay." Shortly after that, I'm back in Toronto. I'm at home, and I remember I got a few phone calls, and I'm wondering what's going on. My cousin called me, and she said, "Oh, your older sister called me, and she was crying and saying that your mom died." And I said, "Huh? What do you mean?" Like I saw my mom go to work this morning, right? So, I was a little bit confused. So I made a call to my sister. My sister didn't answer. So then I'm a little bit kind of panicking a little bit now, right? So someone just told me check the news, right? And I see where the murder was committed
On the news.
on the news, correct? And instantly there was no tears or anything, just because I was in so much shock, right? I was in so much shock where I didn't even know how to react to the situation, right? So what happened there, why she did it, was because she had mental issues. She did have schizophrenia, right? And she loved her kids a lot. And
Well, the mom had medicine. Okay.
yeah, no, not the mom, the daughter,
Right.
my sister.
Sister.
Yeah, my stepsister had schizophrenia,
Oh, so it's the, right.
and
She loved her kids.
she loved her kids
Gotcha.
a lot. So she wasn't able to see her kids for a duration of time where her mom, which is my stepmom, was in Jamaica for about 6 months. because she didn't have full custody of the kids, right? So she kind of felt like if her mom was her enemy. She started to think that in her mind, and she woke up in the morning, from what she told me, and she decided that she was gonna take her mom out. Well, and it's really crazy because that happened right in front of my nephews. Yeah. So they had to be put into therapy and stuff like that as well. And it's a process. I'm very proud of them though,
Mhm.
because they called 911 and they got out there, waved the stranger to get to the station and gave the reports and stuff like that. So I'm very proud of them, and they seem to be doing pretty well right now.
Wow. Wow. That is a hell of a story. Okay. There's so many parts to dissect here. Um, I guess firstly, like how did she kill
So she was stabbed.
she stabbed?
She stabbed her um a number of times. Yeah. Concerning a lot of times.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. First of all, I'm so sorry to hear that. Like only imagine what kind of damage that does to your family. When somebody does something like that, it creates ripple effects
Oh, hands down.
throughout the whole family. So how have you been able to handle that? How has your family been maneuvering through it?
So how I handled it personally, because I've been through so much already, that was obviously like the icing on the cake. But for me, one, because I'm thankful that I have a relationship with God, because I'll pray and ask for like guidance through the situation, right? But also, I had to find myself speaking to a lot of people as well about it, because it's not something that I wanted to keep within my own self, you know? Um, but what I did find is that a lot of, it brought the family closer as well, because, it's someone who was important in our lives who is now deceased, right? So it brought us closer. And the second thing that I used to maneuver through this difficult situation was music as well. Playing the guitar was always something, the bass guitar was always something that was therapeutic for me. So whenever I think about her or I think about a situation, I'll just go play. Or another thing that was therapeutic for me was writing. So um, I'll be releasing another book soon. But that's one thing that I would use to maneuver and pivot through this tough circumstance.
Wow.
Yeah.
So is this what the main part of your book is? Is that were you writing changes coming before this?
I was writing changes coming before this event.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right, so let's take a quick moment to talk about Trivia's coming.
Yeah.
Walk me through the overall concept of the book and what you put into it.
Okay. So the cost of the book to get this up and running was about 3,500, right? Self-published. But what I did in order to publish it was I remember I was working at an auto body shop at the time. And I was just every time I'm just there on my iPhone 4. I had an iPhone 4 at the time, and I wrote the whole book all on an iPhone 4. Because at the time I didn't have a computer or anything like that, so I wrote it on an iPhone 4. And every time I was on my break, I'm writing. Um, so one day I thought that that's how it works, where you just send in the file to the publishing company. Um, but no, they wanted to see the physical, and they wanted me to send the file. So I said, okay, cool. So I had to write it out again and send it into them and send in a PDF file as well. So I said, okay. So they approved it. They said, okay, good. This is a good story. They said they're gonna work with it. So I said, all right. Right. So the next thing I started to do was I started to look for a photographer. To try to keep costs low, right? Because for me, all I wanted was to share a message that can help people. So I remember someone was talking to at the time took this photo here on their phone, and they sent it to me as the designer, and that's what they came up with. And From there, I started to go door to door for my promotion. So I developed that skill by going door to door, and I started going business to business, telling them about this book. And I remember I ran into a guy named John Keane who bought a few books. He was one of the first people who purchased a book for me. And I remember he took me from a job that I was working at that time and started to make me work for him. But while I'm working for him, he was also like giving me more knowledge on how he got to where he got to and where he thinks the book will go and start to give it more promotion and stuff like that as well.
Mhm. Now tell me about the book itself. Like, what's the overall concept of the book?
The overall cost?
Concept.
Oh, concept. Oh, concept. Okay.
Yeah.
So the book itself is um so I use a person called Charlie in the book, right? That's the main character. And Charlie is a person who been through a lot. So he was he was stabbed. He felt depressed. He been through suicide, all that type of stuff. And Charlie is me. So I've been through suicidal thoughts. I've definitely came close to the act, right? And because I found myself in such deep mental states or such dark mental states, that's where the book came from, right? So I speak about how to get yourself out of those mental thoughts, how to find yourself, how to see light in a dark path, and it's always easier. Other people know as well that it's always easy for people to say that it's going to get better, but when you're in the rut, it doesn't feel like it's going to get better because it's you in it. And most times when we're standing in the dark, it's us alone standing in the dark, right? So you sometimes what you have to do is you have to train your mind to get out of the dark. You have to see yourself in a brighter place, even when you're in the dark. And that's what I try to preach in this book
Okay.
to the readers.
Got you. Got you. Got you. So we'll make it down in the description below, so people can look at purchasing it and get all the details. All right. Now I want to get back into the overall story that we were talking earlier. Um, how it feels like the climax of the situation with your stepmom getting stabbed, is like like I said, a climax of it.
Yeah.
What was the beginning steps and like how did this go from a budding disagreement to stabbing?
So um that part is very complex, but I'm gonna try to break it down as easiest as I can. So with her and her mom were great friends,
Really?
really great friends. So that's why I'm saying it's so complex because they're such great friends. She was one who always had her back, always made sure that she wasn't in want or need of anything. But because of the mental illness and because of guess her feeling still a lack of support, even though she had it, um, which being was the icing on the cake that she couldn't see her kids. That's what resulted in the act that she did, right? Because she was saying that now her kids started to act funny and stuff like that towards her, right? And I could understand why she was angry, but it still doesn't. I let her know this as well. I can understand the anger of not being able to see your kids, but you doing what you did was completely, unacceptable, you know. Um, and it's a selfish act as well, right? Um, but when I spoke to her, it was just a real anger, her feeling like if she was alone, still, even though she had the support, she felt like she was alone, and her kids that she was growing since she was young, she couldn't see them, and that's what resulted. It was just a like it was just a long wing to tick. It seemed like.
Really? So it wasn't even like like usually something like of that nature is usually just like this a series of events that kind of lead up to it.
Yeah,
It wasn't even that you're saying.
it wasn't even that. I know that her and her person who she had the kids with,
Maybe that.
yeah, her baby dad, um they got into some altercations for sure. And that was the first time when she actually did stab someone,
Mm.
right? But never in a million years would we think that she would actually take a life, and it being her mom, you know?
Yeah, that's crazy. So, what's your process, in terms of dealing with your own mental health and dealing with challenges like this? Because what was interesting is that you said this isn't even the worst thing that I've dealt with.
Yeah.
It felt like, so it sounds like you've been through worse almost.
Yeah, I wouldn't say I've been through worse,
Yeah,
but I've been through things that kind of, it sounds crazy, but prepared me for moments like this
really,
in a sense, right? Because when you're growing up and you feel like if you're all alone, right? Because I got stabbed by people close to me as well,
really,
right? And I felt like if I've been to dark places as well, right? So when this happened, like people wanted to kind of write her off, but me, I wanted to kind of speak life into her still and see how I can get her back to, like, out of this dark spirit that she's in, right? But obviously I can't do that because I don't have the power and ability to do that, right? But the reason why I I'm able to deal with that okay is because of, as I said, I've been through suicide. I've been through having real bad thoughts about myself. I I've been through having people speak death upon me and stuff like that. So when something like this happens, it's like, okay, um it's not just another event, but it's a event that just came to make me stronger as well, you know? And I see it as just another chapter to the story to spread awareness of this thing called mental health, which I feel like everybody goes through at some point in their life.
100%, 100%. And for people listening, I just want to say, if you need resources for your mental health, I'll link some from November in the description. So feel free to take advantage of that. Um, are you okay talking about how you got stabbed? Anthony?
Yeah, yeah, we could speak about that. So, what happened there is I remember I was younger. I was about maybe I think 9 or 10, and me and one of my older brothers, we used to get into it a lot.
How many brothers do you have?
I have two more brothers,
You-
two oldest. Yeah, the youngest brother.
Okay.
Yeah,
Your youngest child. There we go.
yeah, middle.
Let's see one under you.
Two younger sisters after me.
Oh gosh, you got you. Got so the youngest brother, but you're the middle in terms of all the children.
Yeah,
Got you. Okay.
right. So I remember one time, me and my brother used to get into it a lot, right? And I remember one time, um, we got into it, we were fighting, and then he stabbed me in the leg, right? And as I said, I was kind of the black sheep to the family.
Hold on. No. Let's not glaze over that. I mean, let's take it back a little bit. Firstly, what were you and your brother fighting over? You remember?
So I remember a lot of times, um, he used to like go into my room and just like it just used to antagonize me a lot, right? He used to break my stuff and all this type of stuff. So that's what we'd fight about, right? So I'm pretty sure it was something along those lines where he broke some of my, I was still playing with toys at those times. So broke some of my toys and stuff like that. I used to collect a lot of cars. So I guess he probably broke one of those, and then we started to fight. And then I stabbed him in the leg. And then you know, I'm there bleeding out of my leg. And then I got beaten right on top of the wound by my mom.
Wow. Wow.
Right? So
Did she didn't see? She didn't see it, I guess.
no, she saw it. But as I said, me and my mom never had a great relationship.
Yeah.
For a very long duration of my life, we never had a good relationship.
Okay.
And she was in favor of my brother or other siblings over me per se. All right. So when I got stabbed. It's like, okay, yeah, whatever you got stabbed, boom, take some of this on top of it. That's how I interpret that, right?
Wow. Wow, wow. How did that change your perspective of your family?
You see, so um that's where it comes in, where you feel like you're in that dark place now. So that affected everything in my life because then I'm not doing well in school because I'm thinking about how I used to get called a lot of names. So I'm thinking about how dumb I am, how stupid I am, how I'm not gonna amount to nothing, all this type of stuff. And then I'm thinking about when I leave school, the hell that I'm about to go into, right? So that's what led me to the point where I felt like if life wasn't worth the living, why am I living? You know? And it was only at this one point in my life where I think I was about 15 years old. Um, I went out into the middle of the road at one point. I came out of school. I was in school, and I'm just like, okay, I had enough of this. This is gonna be it. This is the day. So I went out and I laid down in the middle of the road, and I remember a school bus was coming, and I'm like, yeah, this is it. And she stopped. The driver stopped right in front of me, and she came out, took me out the road, and she spoke some positive things into me. She's, "Oh, why are you trying to take your life?" I said, "Miss, you don't know what I'm going through right now. Just let me go through this, right?" And she was like, "No, you got to come out this road. She's saying things like, "Oh, you're more than a conqueror. You're gonna do great things. This and that." I never heard any of this in my whole life. So I start to break down. And I'm like, "Wow, this is crazy. Is this what like I needed this, you know?" So I went back into school and, I wasn't um gravy from there because I'm still struggling with mental thoughts, negative mental thoughts, but that was something that uplifted me and it was something that motivated me even to write the book as well. And that was one of the darkest places that I ever been in my life. Or
I appreciate you sharing that.
yeah.
A lot of us go through extremely dark times like that, and I'm happy you made it out.
Hope to yeah, bro.
Yeah, because especially during that teenage time,
Yeah.
it's such a sensitive time, and to have things going bad at both ends, is high school and in your family life,
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
Yeah.
Yes. To people watching that are at that stage in life, what advice do you have for them?
Just to keep
That's
pushing.
that's your camera.
Oh, okay. Keep pushing and just make sure that you always try to maintain a positive outlook on life. And anybody who one thing that got me through trying times is changing your environment. So what you want to do is you want to find yourself in environments where people are watering your grass and not pouring kerosene on it, right? So you want to make sure that you're around people who are surrounding you with love because that's the only way you're going to get out what you're going through. If you're hanging around people who are speaking negative things around you or they're bad minding you under the quiet, then yeah, that's what's going to become your reality. And that's what I'm
100%.
saying.
100%. And you are the summation of the people around you. You're the summation of the content around you. Um, what I mean by summation, this is the addition, you know? So with that, I want to ask you to humbly subscribe to the content. We are trying to create content that uplifts you and adds to who you are as a person and educates you and entertains you slightly, but gives you a real dose of life. So if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, I would greatly appreciate that. Now, looking towards wrapping up, man. Where do you see the next steps for you?
Next steps for me. So what I see happening, I've been trying to work on this for so long, but I'm trying to build or buy a building that will cater to fatherless children. So I have to speak a little bit more about this. So the idea that I had was to have a building um where fatherless children or children who don't have an active father figure in their life can somehow find a father figure within that building. right? That's a concept that I have in my mind. But also I have where next side the building there would be um there'd be social workers and stuff like that to give resources to kids who don't have certain resources, right? Like kids who are in high risk areas like Jane Finch or Rexdale or um
Over.
Mulver and things like that. They can come to this place and they can get resources so that they don't have to resort to, selling drugs. And we can show them different ways within that whole community center, which I'd call it. We could show them different avenues to take instead of the wrong avenue, which I found to take in previous years.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Where can people find you?
Um. So Instagram is Boss of Change, and yeah, that's it. Boss of Change.
Man,
That's my major page. Yep.
awesome, man.
Sir.
Is there anything that you wanted to talk about that we didn't get to talk about today?
Um. Okay. So I'll speak about Also, I also had another event happen in my life too.
Oh, what's that?
Actually, one of my cousins were murdered. I don't know if you remember that big mass shooting in Malton.
Molten low.
Yeah, Jonathan Davis.
So
Yeah, so Jonathan Davis was shot um right in front of my auntie actually, right? And it was a big shooting. It was Toronto's biggest shooting, I think, ever. And that happened about maybe 5 years ago now, right? And I just want to speak about the violence, the gun violence, right?
let's talk about it.
Um, because I feel like in more recent years now, like this year, there hasn't been much, I feel like. But I spoke to a group of kids the other day at an event called Barbershop Talks. It's an event that Hope SDA puts on every month. And I remember I speak to these kids and I asked them, um, what is your reality? What's your what's your risk to reality ratio? And obviously they didn't know what to say. But I asked them if someone told you not to do something because there was an extreme danger behind it, would you still do it? And many of them said yes. So I said, why? So they said that they still want to try things. They still want to try. They want to see where they can go with it. So I said, okay. So if I went 200 kilometers on the highway and I crashed and I broke both of my legs, broke both of my legs, would you still do it? They said yes, because I'll see how I cannot break both of my legs. So right away, I found out there's an issue. Like the risk is up here with these kids. Like they're willing to take the risk, but it's negative risks, right? They're not willing to take the positive risks. So when it's easier for them, that's where you see a lot of kids now. They're robbing cars or they're going into banks. A lot of the bank robberies and stuff that are happening is kids who are under 17, right? Um, because of the risk ratio. So what I try to tell kids nowadays is the same risk that you're willing to take for something negative is the same risk you should do to start a business, or to write a book or go to school. And some of these kids are so brilliant too, but they just need the proper guidance. So what I want to say to a listener right now, if you're listening and you have a son or you have a daughter that's doing some crazy stuff, what you want to do is try to find them mentors. Mentors are very important. Like for me, I had a good mentor. His name was Jeremy Anderson, and we used to talk a lot um, when I was in my dark place. And all kids need, especially the kids right now, all they need is good mentorship. And I'm sure that you'll see a lot of the gun violence and stuff go down. I really don't think we need more policing. What they need is more active father figures and mentorships.
Uh,
Yeah.
beautiful. Well, very well said, man. I appreciate that. With that being said, the hustle what you can't control. So control your grind and control your life. And Alex,
And I'm Nelly.
that should show y'all.
All right.
Peace.
Yes.
Wow. That was amazing.
Pretty intense.